Hi guys, Inky Vaper here, and today we've got the Tsunami by Geek Vape 22mm stainless steel RDA velocity style deck with lots of influence, more influence I'd say from the Kennedy than anything else, but still with the ubiquitous velocity deck that seems to be cropping up in every RDA these days, and for good reason I suppose. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll pop down, we'll take a quick look at the device itself, go through it and everything, and then we'll come back up and I'll tell you what I think of it. See you in a bit. Okay guys, so here we've got the Tsunami box. It's got a nice box, all the usual stuff, gump on the sides, scratch and check and all that kind of stuff. And then there's details on the back of the box there, various different measurements, etc. But we'll be going through those in a moment. So let's just pop this open. Put that out of the way. We've got the RDA, stick that over there. Now, as you can see, it comes with a Delrin drip tip. It comes with two Delrin drip tips actually. There's one here and one here. There's a sort of a diagonally sloped one there, and then there's this straight-sided one here, which is the one I prefer. The straight one is 14mm wide across the top, and the sloped one is about 13, I think. It's a little bit narrower across the top. So we'll just pop that back in there. It also comes with a little metal 510, stainless steel 510 drip tip, which is reasonably wide bore, not huge, but underneath the bottom of the box is a bag of spares. Now you've got a 510 adapter which you can use with the stainless steel drip tip there, full set of O-ring spares, an Allen key for the use of, and there was also 4 grub screws which I've nicked and put in something else because they're such good grub screws. Right, I'll come back to those in a second. Let's get rid of the box and the gubbins. So as you can see, we have the stainless steel version here, which it comes in stainless steel or a black. It's very clean looking RDA. It's just sort of like a stainless brushed affair. You've got airflow holes at the bottom. It's very similar in design actually, very similar looking to the Kennedy, especially with this sort of stubby drip tip on the top. Okay, so let me just try and get this off a minute. Okay, so as you can see, here's the, I'll just put the decker to one side a minute. As you can see, there's a sort of a domed portion to the inside of the top cap there. It's all machined very nicely. Still got a bit of e-liquid in here from when I was using it earlier. And you've got dual airflow holes for dual airflow for dual coils, and a single airflow on its own there for a single coil if you wish. And the drip tips just screw on and off, nice and easy. The threads are very good, and that's the top cap. And here's the bottom cap, the actual build deck. As you can see, these you see these post holes. See if I can just zoom in a bit more so you can get a really good look at these. So as you can see there, try and focus a bit better. Okay, as you can see that. Joys with my camera today. I think that's better. Okay, so as you can see, you've got these massive, great big post holes. It's a velocity style deck, and the post holes are 3mm by 2mm, so it's 3mm lengthwise and 2mm in height. As you can see, you can pretty much fit anything in there. I've got some ropey Claptons that I made, my first ever attempt at making Clapton wire. They don't look great, but they certainly are doing the job. Now on the bottom there, this bloody focus is way out of whack. That's better. Okay, so as you can see, you've got 2 chimneys on that side and 2 chimneys on that side. Those are 4mm in diameter, so they're bloody great big air holes. And as you can see, what you do is when you wick in, these are 3mm in the diameter Claptons. Basically, you get your cotton and you just want to stick it into those corners on the sides of the deck there. So here and here, and the same on the other side, here and around there. You just want to touch the cotton into so that it's just sitting on the bottom of that deck. The deck's very deep. The airflow, the chimneys come right the way up to the top of where the deck is, so you've got a very deep juice well there. It's a good 7 mil easily. So there's loads of room really, and basically I just get the cotton through, stick it back towards the posts, so sort of back here, so that it gives it's tucked away from those chimneys, because you want to keep the juice away from the chimneys as much as possible. My goodness, looking at these coils close up, they do not look ropey, but they are, I assure you, they are performing very nicely, so that's why I've kept them in there. As you can see down on the front of here is the only actual engraving of the name on it, which is actually hidden underneath the top cap, which I think is quite cool. I quite like it. These O-rings are nice and beefy, and you pop your top cap on. They do make a good seal. Now the issue that I've got with this is you do get a certain amount of seepage from there, and it's not so much that you're leaking, because you can be really careful, but just taking the top cap on and off with this RDA, you get like a build up of condensation in between the build deck and the top cap, and you'll see it when you try and sort of adjust the airflow as well. And that can be a bit of a pain, because I find it sort of collects on the mod, and with the airflow being at the bottom, obviously you get a certain amount of condensation at the bottom of the mod. You also got your engraving on the bottom there, adjustable 510, gold plated, of adjustable 510. It does protrude enough that you can use it on a hybrid. I've got it screwed right the way in, but you can actually bring that out quite a bit further than that if you want. But on the whole, I think it's a very nice looking little RDA. It's quite tall, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. There's a lot of smaller devices kicking about these days, but I think it's just really classy looking, and it's just really well made as well. It's the quality of the Geek Vape stuff is just really good, I think. Very well machined, no sharp bits, no burrs, no crappy sort of swarfy bits anywhere. There was a fair amount of machine oil on the inside of this when I got it, not a huge amount, but I could sort of smell it a little bit. So obviously before you use it, you want to give it a good wash, either in a ultrasonic cleaner or just a toothbrush and some detergent will do it as well. Hot water and a bit of elbow grease and you'll get rid of it. But there we go, there's the Tsunami RDA by Geek Vape, 22mm stainless steel. What I'll do is I'll wick this up, juice it up, and then we'll pop up and I'll give you my thoughts. See you in a minute. Welcome back, guys. So the Tsunami by Geek Vape. What can I say? Well, as we saw in the close-up, it's very heavily influenced by the Kennedy. It's got some original features, but it's also got the Velocity style deck as well. So it's kind of like a bastard child of the Kennedy and the Velocity, really. Now let's go with the pros first, I guess. Pros are it's a very sleek looking RDA, I think. It's very simple. There's no outward sort of designs or engravings on it. It's very clean looking. With this stovepipe type Delrin drip tip, I think it looks really good. The slopey one, the sort of diagonally topped one, is not really to my taste, and I find that it's a little bit too narrow, and you end up kissing the top of the top cap a little bit too much with your lips, and it can get a bit warm up there, especially when you've got, like this, it's got Claptons in it. It can get quite warm because this stainless steel is not the thickest. But the choices of two different sort of chuff style screw-in Delrin mouthpieces, and then the 510 adapter and a 510 drip tip, all those spares. I mean, you know, a lot of the higher end guys could take a leaf out of Geek Vape's book, really, for the amount of different options that they've given with this extremely well priced RDA. The adjustable airflow is great, although I tend to run it completely wide open, because why would you not? Something like this, if you've got big coils in it, you want as much airflow in there as you can possibly get, and it is a very airy vape. Plenty of vapor, bags of flavour because of those four chimney style airflow that comes straight up underneath your coils. It's a joy to build on because of the Velocity deck, because of those huge, great big post holes, 3mm across and 2mm deep. The grub screws are coated in, I can't remember the name of the coating, but they're coated in something to make them really hard. I've not had any issues at all with the stripping. I've had loads of different builds in, and there's you know when you put your Allen key into a hex grub screw and you tighten it down, and quite often you tighten it down, and then your Allen key gets stuck in the grub, and you can't pull it out. Never had that with this. They're just really, really good. They're actually so good that I've taken the grub screws out of the spare grub screws from this and put them in another RDA because they fit, and they're just a joy to use. And if I ever need the spares for this, I'll just whap them out of the other one. So yeah, great vapor production. Obviously that's kind of build dependent, but you need to, as long as you make sure you get your coils nicely situated across the top of those two chimneys on either side, which is easy to do because it's a Velocity deck. The airflow just comes straight in from the side, straight up, and belts underneath those coils. So great flavour production, great vapor production. Again, as I said, I love the way it looks. It's really well made, and so those are really all the pros that I've got for it, really. On the cons side of things, okay, the top cap is, I think it's because it's stainless steel, but it's quite thin in places, and so the heat the heat builds up quite quickly, and it can get a little bit warm around your mouth. Even with this drip tip, you find yourself getting your lips to the top cap, and it can get quite warm. The other thing is the adjustable airflow, the airflow control, where you can just turn the top cap and close off these airflow holes at the sides. As you can see, you can just open them up, spin it further around, and then, you know, close them down as much as you want. The problem with that is that means that the top cap goes all the way down to the bottom, and as a result you do get even though there's some really nice O-rings on there, you do get a kind of bit of condensation builds up between that build deck and the top cap. And so as you're turning it around, you can actually see juice on the sort of the side of the build deck, and then that eventually kind of weeps out and sort of goes across the top of your mod. Now, you know, that's it's not the greatest. I mean, I've got some now, but it's, yeah, it is what it is. The other thing is, because it's got a single airflow hole and they're all kind of situated sort of like along one side. Excuse me. When you if you take the top cap off for any reason, some people, you know, sometimes at first I was dripping. I wasn't dripping through the middle. I was kind of taking the cap off, painting the coils. I found so long as you actually get your coils properly situated across the top of those chimneys, and you drip just straight down the middle, get the cotton where I said, right tucked up against the deck, the juice goes straight down and just sort of like feeds to those wicks. But if you are constantly taking off the top cap, you will get a certain amount of seepage, and it's kind of unavoidable really with the way that it's designed. With the airflow being at the bottom, again, you get because of you're getting vapor coming out of those airflow holes at the bottom. You will get a certain amount of build-up condensation across the top of your mod anyway. So I do find whatever mod I'm using this on, I'm constantly sort of wiping condensation and a little bit of moisture that sort of come out from those airflow holes across the top of your mod. So if that's the kind of thing that winds you up, it will do. This will do that. What I was saying about the single airflow is, because when you take the top cap off, I'll go back to that. When you're taking the top cap off, when you put it back on, unless you're very, you know, so you really have to pay attention to what you're doing, because it happened to me a couple of times, and it's happened to me a couple of times, especially when I was at, I got this a couple of days before I went to Vape Jam, and I used it a lot at Vape Jam just because obviously I wanted to get it good, you know, get a good test of it and see what it was like. I found that if I was taking the top cap off and putting it back on again, I quite often just put it so that there was just one airflow hole open, and then you sort of vape on it and go, oh, this is a bit tight, what's wrong? And then you look, oh, and then you have to piss about and make sure that you've got your airflow holes in the right place. For me, the adjustable airflow is unnecessary. This kind of dripper for me needs to be run completely wide open, balls to the wall, because, you know, it's really good for vapor and flavour. You don't need to close it down, and the kind of builds that I've been putting in it have been quite warm, and so they've required, you know, the airflow to be fully open. Now, I can see why they've done it, and there's a lot of people out there that still run single coils, especially builders out there that build these fancy coils. You quite often just build one great big ginormous coil and stick it in on one side. You can certainly do that on this, but for me, this shines with two coils in it, and with the airflow wide open. What else? What else is there as a con with it? I can't think of any really. Yeah, the top cap gets hot. I've already said that. That can get quite warm, quite uncomfortable sometimes. I think this I can see why they built it to the size that they have, but I think it could do with being, you know, like, I don't know, 3-4 mil longer maybe. But then again, I suppose that might screw with the whole aesthetic of it. It is a very nice looking RDA. It is with a little bit of a con is the space for your wicking between those two chimneys on either side and the posts, the velocity posts, can be a bit snug. So you want to make sure that you, like I showed you in the close-up, that you tuck that cotton back and towards the posts. You don't want to get any cotton sort of over the top of the chimney, because that will sort of encourage leakage through the bottom. I haven't had any leaks myself, but then I've had a few of these kind of bottom airflow jobs before, so it's kind of, it becomes second nature to you. But it's something that to sort of take note of. The wicking of this can be a little bit fiddly and a bit fidgety. Once you've got it sorted though, you just literally just drip down the drip tip, straight down the middle, you know, 7 or 8 drops, and it feeds across the top, across the sort of centre of the deck and out towards those pieces of cotton. Literally, I just have the cotton just touching the deck, nice and snug in the coils, and then sort of brush it out a little bit so that it's quite the cotton's quite sort of fluffy, and then just push it back and towards those velocity posts. On the whole, this is a really good RDA. It's yet another really well made product by Geek Vape. In my opinion, they are one of the affordable Chinese genuine manufacturers that are actually coming out with some really good products lately. The Griffin I really enjoyed, the Avocado I really loved, their build kit, everything that they seem to put their mind to, they really do a good job. It's an amalgam of all these different you know, of the Velocity and the Kennedy, but it is its own thing. It's not a clone. It's not. It's sort of a mishmash, a mongrel, if you like, of those things. But it performs really well. The flavour on it is just out of this world. You get some nice Claptons in here, or just a nice warm, decent build in there. Obviously, if you're running regulated, you can put some really big coils in here and just bump up the power and just throw some watts through it, and you'll get a really good vape. The flavour on it is, as I keep saying, is astounding. When I first started vaping this, like all my drippers, I had my Lancashire Steam Company Dibners in it, and it was really kicking the flavour out with that. It's probably the most intense flavour from the Dibners that I'd had up until that point. It's around £25, so I mean it's a really, again, another really well priced authentic dripper from China that just really does tick an awful lot of boxes. The messiness of it is going to put some people off, because it does get a little bit messy. So long as you don't over drip and you don't go wild with the dripping and you wick it right, you're not going to get too much of a leaking, because the juice well's so deep. But you do get condensation across the top of your mod, and if you're like me, that can irritate you. I mean, it's not something that I like to put on some of my more sort of expensive stuff. I tend to stick it on my Segeli or on my RX 200, because, you know, I don't really want condensation and stuff all over the top of my castigator and stuff like that. So but yeah, I'm going over the same ground over and over again. I'm sorry about that, rambling. This is a really good RDA. It took me a while to get it. There was pre-order issues and all sorts of stuff like that, which is probably why I'm a little bit behind the loop on everybody else with this. But I know a lot of guys wanted to know what my thoughts were on this, which was one of the reasons why I sort of put my name down for the pre-order. I finally got it. I've had it about just getting on for 2 weeks now, and I love it. It's really, 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 really good. I thoroughly enjoy using it. So if you're in the market for a good flavour and vapor RDA for a very reasonable price of around about £25, I think it's going for in most places, 22, 25, that kind of ballpark figure. You can't go far wrong with the Tsunami by Geek Vape. Okay, so we'll leave it there, and as always, if you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button for me, and if you aren't already, please subscribe for for more of my videos in the future. I've got the Velocity V2 coming up soon, and I should be having the Goon RDA delivered, fingers crossed, in the next day or so. So in the next week or so there'll be those coming up as well. Until then, take it easy, and I'll see you soon. Bye.